Hi investors, welcome to SOIC. So in the second part of the platform business webinar, we'll be doing a Q&A, and today I have Satvik with me. So Satvik will be taking the questions on international platforms and on some Indian platforms which I do not personally cover. So with this, we'll get right away into it. So first question we have is from Maharashtra from Ranjit. So Satvik, you can take the question because our first question is on Affle, which you have covered in the presentation.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Ishmoit, for the introduction. So the first question basically is the focus of Affle is on the Indian and Indonesian markets, where there's a lot of trust deficit, and the business model of CPCU, which is payment when a conversion is happening, that is better compared to an annuity-based business model of a trade desk because of the trust deficit. But here also, I feel like the two markets are very similar when we go to the ad space. And annuity based model is better from an investor's perspective. So here we should see, because we are investors and we are not customers of Affle. So we are on constant lookout for predictability of growth and sustainability, so that we can see that the revenues can sustainably increase at an X amount of rate. So that's why I think the trade desk model is better than Affle, even in the developing markets.
Right. Great. And second question is, what is your view on EVX Cash World as a forex platform and Web of Global as a fashion jewelry platform play? So in on EVX Cash, unfortunately, we do not have an opinion since we do not track the company. And EVX globally has had some corporate governance issues with the acquisition-led acquisition-led growth model. But on the second part on Web of Global as a fashion jewelry platform, so I think Web of Global has done well, like pivoting to a platform play, and their growth in Canada is really fast right now. I think the growth numbers are something which actually अपने बारे में ही बताते हैं. But still Web of Global we do not track personally, so we won't have a very informed opinion. But the third question, which is there on IRCTC, so IRCTC is a company which we have read in depth. So I'll just take the question: ki in spite of IRCTC being a great business, doesn't it pose risk being a government company on capital allocation? What if the government forces it to pay more dividend or acquire some gruesome business? Wouldn't that pose a risk of wealth erosion for retail investors? I think it's a very good question, because between 2016 to 2018, after demonetization happened, to promote digital payments, तो गवर्नमेंट ने क्या करा था कि जो IRCTC सर्विस चार्ज लेती है पर टिकट, गवर्नमेंट ने उसको वेव ऑफ कर दिया था. एंड मोर ओवर 2011-2012 में IRCTC के पास केटरिंग बिजनेस था इंडियन रेलवेज का. But even that business was taken away by the government in 2011 due to some policy changes. And if IRCTC is more and more forced to actually operate more of the trains, so even that can pose a very big risk to IRCTC's business model. Because see, we have seen in other companies something like Engineers India, which is a pure consultancy company. So Engineers India is actually being forced to acquire an oil refinery right now. So even like in all the PSUs, there is a very big risk of capital allocation. So IRCTC in that aspect like doesn't passes our filters, because that risk is real, and you've actually pointed it out in a very good question, right? So with this, I think Sadhuk, let's move to the next one.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So next question is how we should view IEX and triggers that gonna play out in the future business. And follow-up question on CAM's valuation. Did you see any margin of safety in CAMs considering all the aspect that can play out in the future? So just addressing the second part of the question first, CAMs we like, so again as a disclosure, we do not own CAMs, and this video is only meant for education. But CAMs is something which we think currently is like very highly valued because of the risk that can play out in the future. Ki even in spite of AUM growth, what can happen is that your equity fee can keep getting cut. तो जैसे हमने देखा है कि जो इनकी फीस है उस पर प्रेशर आ सकता है. जैसे लास्ट 5 years में आई थिंक प्रेजेंटेशन में जो डेटा आप चेक भी कर सकते हैं. So that is something one needs to take care of. But IEX, we are like, so just as a disclosure that we like, I already own IEX in the family fund. So again, that it's nothing as an investment advice. But IEX may, it's a very good play on the economic recovery without the risk of actually getting into some very asset heavy names like Tata Power, Adani Power. So it's a very good play on the economic recovery. And secondly, IEX में they are launching new products and more or less हो क्या रहा है यहाँ पे कि so there are two things to look for in businesses. So while doing valuations and looking at businesses, one thing is कि we actually look for businesses which are gaining market share, right? So IEX में क्या हो रहा है कि short term power market is gaining market share in the overall pie. And secondly, जो ये new products launch कर रहे हैं उसके साथ साथ, तो again that is also leading to more market share gain. तो जैसे अब लॉन्ग टर्म ड्यूरेशन कॉन्ट्रैक्ट्स आने वाले हैं, जस्ट थिंक अबाउट इट. आज इलेक्ट्रिसिटी प्लेटफॉर्म पे इतना ज्यादा लोग ट्रेड क्यों नहीं करते? बिकॉज ऑफ वॉलेटिलिटी. कि इफ आई एम एन इंडस्ट्रियल कस्टमर, तो मेरे लिए बहुत ज्यादा वॉलेटाइल है कि आज मैं इस प्राइस पे लूंगा, कल इस प्राइस पे हुआ तो नहीं हुआ, राइट? So this is why I'll still need to have my own captive power. But all of a sudden, if I introduce hedging, if I introduce long duration contracts, कि आज के प्राइस पे I can hedge for the next 10 to 12 months. So again, the market share of short term power will actually go on increasing. तो exchanges का आज अभी भी 5.7%, 5.2% के बीच में market share है, which I think will increase rapidly. And this time also in the Q3 as well, the volumes have grown by 50%. I think जो भी latest disclosure आया था, the volumes on the platform have grown by 50%. So IEX is something which we are like watching very, very carefully, and CAMS is something which we find a little overvalued at these valuations because yield पे there is a permanent risk, right? So I think so in terms of coming to next question. So in terms of valuation, which company you have discussed in the webinar is cheaper? So I think it will be difficult to take this question because we are not giving any stock advice, but we can actually tell that MSTC was the one which we discussed it purely in terms of valuation, but nothing is a recommendation. Just coming to the next question. So Deepak Nitrite is not a platform business, so we won't be taking that one. So right, can you please analyze ZelpMock? So I think Satvik will take this question, and I think Satvik, you can just complete read the question.
Yeah, sure. So can you please analyze ZelpMock, and is it a good competitor in terms of InfoEdge? So personally, just as a disclosure, I'll be holding InfoEdge in my fund. So that is a SEBI registered fund. So it is good to tell that upfront. And there are no stock recommendations. So ZelpMock, what I really liked about it was the promoter is really experienced. So he had made the money control platform. He had made the Tata website. He was the chief technology officer of Just Dial. And so what ZelpMock is basically doing is they are acting as outsourced chief technology officers to a lot of startups which are just at their seed stage, and taking around 20-25% to as high as 50% stake for their operational expertise. But the issue which I found with ZelpMock and why it could not be a mini InfoEdge, if I could say that, was to what InfoEdge does is it takes a high stake at very low valuation when the companies are 50 to 100 crores in their total overall value, and it can participate in the up rounds. When a company becomes great, it is showing traction. There are up rounds, series A, B, C, and so on. So InfoEdge used to have that bandwidth because of the cash cow of Naukri. Unfortunately, in ZelpMock, I could not personally see that because they had just broken even in the last couple of quarters. So that needs to be seen whether that cash flows can come in to put into those up rounds.
Right. So should I just take the next one?
Yeah.
Right. Just coming to the next one, I hope that answers on ZelpMock. So next is on Infibeam Avenue. So unfortunately, we do not track this company. I think so. One has to be careful of management as well. So we do not track this one. So next one was can platform businesses like IEX, CAMS, IRCTC, CDSL consistently compound earnings at 20% in the coming decade and maintain or increase their ROC? Or there is an increased risk of valuations as pricing are robust, if I got that right? See, IEX is something which is a very, very good play on economic recovery as well. And businesses like CAMS, IRCTC, and CDSL will keep growing, right? So we cannot for sure say 20%, but IRCTC has all the ingredients of growing at 25-30% once we enter a post-pandemic world. So all the ingredients are there. Similarly, CDSL CDSL is also growing handsomely. But I think out of all the four businesses, IEX would be my preference for like 3 years. But again, this is not a recommendation, just as a disclosure. We do own the stock. So IEX, I think, is the one. Even at 45 even at 45 times earnings, if it grows at 20-25% the earnings, we think it is still under fair valuation range. IEX, right? So with that, I'll just move to the next one. Um, right. So I think we'll take one more on international platforms. So between camps, I think I already took this question. So we cannot give any portfolio advice, so that will be difficult, right? So can you rank platform businesses based on top 1 to 5 based on future prospects? So Satvik, would you like to do that? International platforms, which one would you like or something?
Yeah, so among the top international platforms, so how I analyze them is on the basis of what the scope of the opportunities and how fast the companies can grow into them while maintaining profitability. So the number one preference for me would be Mercado Libre internationally, simply because Latin America is a very, very underpenetrated market, and they have shown the proof of concept that they can beat Amazon and Alibaba at their game. Number two could come as Roku, which is uh, the number one in the connected TV and the connected TV ad space, and it has competed with the likes of Amazon Fire Stick and Apple TV, and both these companies are growing at around 30-40% plus, along with a very strong road to profitability.
Right, right. In terms of Indian ones, so Indian ones, unfortunately, we do not get such growth in Indian platforms, but we can still watch out for new companies that will be listed in next 2-3 years. So Policy Bazaar is one which I'm keenly tracking because see, 90% of the traffic is organic. माने अगर मेरे को advertisement करने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ रही तो that just tells you about the brand recall. So one thing about franchisees. So there are two types of businesses. One are pure businesses and second is economic franchisees. Now economic franchisees are the one in which you are investing in the earnings power of a business. So Policy Bazaar is something which is actually turning into an economic franchise. So I think Policy Bazaar is something which I am very keenly tracking and which I'm very keenly reading more and more about. And apart from that, so IEX I've already told, and I think MSTC remains a very cheap like platform, but MSTC the risk is on balance sheet being cleaned up, and second risk is it's a PSU, right? So you just have to be careful with such companies, but I think Policy Bazaar, IEX, and MSTC would be the ones in Indian context. Sadhvik, if you can just add something on Policy Bazaar.
Yeah, sure. So, along with Infoage, which I'm holding in my fund as a disclosure, as I mentioned before, the second business which I like in the Indian context is Policy Bazaar, simply because, as Ishmohit had mentioned, it has around a 90% share. So, what now happens is all the insurance companies have an incentive to come to Policy Bazaar to promote their products. So, we had seen in the numbers also that they have a high take rate. Along with that, there is a low claim ratio. So it is better for the insurance companies also. And Policy Bazaar, in the meanwhile, has been getting pricing power also. So any insurance company would prefer Policy Bazaar over a local insurance broker, and a customer, a modern day customer who is tech savvy. He would prefer Policy Bazaar because he is getting a wide array of products which are cost competitive.
Right, right. So I think that could be a very interesting break company to keep a track of. Are you helping us to provide insights based on sectors? How to get the number of sectors in entire NSE list, and also how to get insights based on sectoral based, right? So I think one thing which you can do is keep money control pay or on NSE's website, you can just check the number of like indices or sectors that are there. So money control pay, you can just find it very easily upon the number of sectors. And at SOIC, what we'll be doing is so we'll be taking up the analysis of life insurance sector next, or maybe we'll be doing on complex APIs, contract research and manufacturing services. We'll be also analyzing the home building space. So all the sectors we'll be analyzing in next 10 to 12 months, or maybe next 10 to 15 months. So in every month, or like once in every 2 months, we'll be taking one sector. I think this will give us a good platform, because see, learning compounds in investing. Because आज जो आपने पढ़ा शायद से 5 साल बाद किसी और कंपनी में लग सकता है, right? Because platform businesses ऐसे हैं कि this is the trend of the future and this is a mega trend. Similarly, chemical industry is going through a mega trend. So we did one on chemical industry as well, and before that we did one webinar on the banking industry as well, which is also going through a phase of which is also going through a mega trend, because large banks are incrementally taking more and more market share, right? So I think studying these mega trends and being prepared for any eventuality is what Charlie Munger says, that luck is when opportunity meets the prepared mind. So through the sectoral analysis, we want the entire community to have a prepared mind to identify the next set of patterns repeating, right? So
Yeah, so the next question is how to know tailwind concept means. So basically, how do we find the next sector for a bull run, and how to find the best companies where growth is. So obviously, there is no specific answer to this, but how I have analyzed is patterns repeat, and there are some cycles which keep on repeating. So just to give an example, in the early 90s, there was a cement and infra boom. Globally, it was the same. Then in the late 1990s, there was a Y2K boom in India, and also globally there was a tech mega trend in which the Nasdaq went up around 5x, which it reclaimed only in 2010. Then from 2003 to 7, there was a global commodity and housing bull run in which companies like Freddie Mae and Fannie Mae in the USA went up more than 100x, though that's a different story that they went bankrupt after that. And in the Indian context also, many housing finance companies or your Unitex and Jayaprakash Infras went up 800 times. So trends are global. Even if you see after that, when the markets did not do a lot, some specific trends were there. Like from 2009 to 15, there was a consumer and a pharma mega trend. After that, an NBFC mega trend, and now a chemical and a platform mega trend. So what I have realized is common to this is the top companies in those sectors, they provide a superlative earnings growth. So the top companies, they are growing at more than 30, 40, 50%. And then the tier 2 and tier 3 companies also showed decent amount of growth. So if you see right now also, a Deepak Nitrate or a Naveen Fluorine, they would be growing at very, very high, more than 20%. The same with other sectors also, like Policy Bazaar in the unlisted space is growing at 50-60%. Zomato in the unlisted space is growing very fast. Same with Naukri.com. So we have to identify growth and market share capture in the sectors which are growing very, very fast.
right, right. Just a second, right? And just to add to what Satvik was saying, so basically, there is one video which we have made on YouTube as well by the name of 100 Baggers. And in our recent Q&A session as well, we have also identified like other sectors and themes which are actually going through tailwinds. Because tailwinds actually simplify your task as an investor. Just position yourself for tailwinds and just ride the like मतलब आप tailwinds को अच्छे से ride कर सकते हैं. So that gives you faster compounding as compared to going into deep value plays where you can go through time corrections which are very, very painful to take, right? So next line of question is just a second. So next line of question is stocks of which sector look interesting for horizon of next 2 years. So I think 100 Baggers video we have covered some of the sectors that we look at, but again as a disclosure, nothing is a stock recommendation. And one is on CRO, CDMO. So again that is covered in the chemical webinar, so that we won't be able to answer in platform business Q&A. So just coming to next line of question, like how to do scuttlebutt in case of small companies, which you have mentioned in the case of IEX, and how to find ways to contact these employees and how to contact the management. So I think you can attend conference calls. So conference calls is a very good source. You can also actually send emails to these companies by taking out their email IDs from both the websites of BSE and NSE. तो जो सेक्रेटरी है इन्वेस्टर रिलेशन टीम है, तो मतलब इन्वेस्टर प्रेजेंटेशन के एंड में जो इन्वेस्टर रिलेशन टीम है, तो वहां से भी आपको ईमेल आईडी एंड फोन नंबर मिल जाएगा. तो आई थिंक I have mostly done that. So if I actually keep pestering an investor, like so अगर कोई IR टीम है और मैं बार बार उनको मैसेज करते रहता हूँ कि get me in touch with management, और so I have these 3-4 questions which need to be solved. अगर if I just keep consistent at it and बार बार उनको मैं trouble करते रहता हूँ, तो usually I get an answer, right? So I think that is one way to go about it. So investor presentation के end में you can look at it. And to getting in touch with employees, so I think that can be done via if you can basically just so अगर अपने friend circle में या फिर अपनी family circle में या फिर अपने किसी friend के friend में, तो I think that can also help a lot. And over a period of time, if you're an investor, so you can already have a very deep network of good people around you, so that can also help a lot. So I think that has also helped us for like over a period of time, right? I think Satvik, maybe you take the next one. So CAMs we have already answered in terms of margins, and I'll just see what are the remaining questions. That in case of India Mart, apart from good numbers and future prospects, we hear a lot of bad news regarding management. Just want to know, where do you keep the management where when looking at a company? So right, so India Mart actually, we do not have an opinion on the stock, right? Because we think the business is good, but as you rightly mentioned, we do not understand accounting over here, so we have just left it alone. So that is totally okay. It's a part of investing. If you do not understand anything, you can just leave it alone. Third part is, we are seeing that BSE is losing its market share. So will it have any major long-term impact? Example, any comments on how it would play on like byproducts? So BSE actually lost the critical mass, and NSE has a critical mass. So I think critical mass is a very key component. So BSE ka, if you just look at the revenue and the income today, so most of it is coming from other income. Core business is in a secular decline. So BSE is something which is something which we won't even look at, because they lost the critical mass. If you, as a platform business, you lose critical mass, it is nearly impossible to rebuild the critical mass. It is saying something similar ki Orkut or High Five can actually rebuild the critical mass to compete with Facebook. Similarly, in exchanges, if you end up losing your critical mass, then that tells you something about the culture of the exchange itself. So BSE is something which we do not have a view on, and I don't think so that BSE can revive ever. If culture is bad, because it was at one time it was a dominant platform in 90s. Because of the culture, because of the slow working processes, and because of slow adaptation, NSE actually won the race of Darwinian natural selection. So BSE is something which we do not have an opinion on, right? How to analyze a tobacco company? So that is there in our like ITC business analysis on YouTube. And second is, do you justify high valuation multiple for a company like IEX? Actually, I'm in since last 5 months. I've invested a lot less. Would you justify buying more at this level? And what would be the right metric to value such network effect companies? Peg less than one, or maybe something like that. See, if valuation is something which is more of a sentiment predictor, valuation gives you an idea about the sentiment around the stock, right? But actually, if you like look at our latest video on YouTube, even Warren Buffett keeps on telling ki, if your thesis is right, if the business is right, so you will end up making money. But and even in IEX case, we think it is still fairly valued, right? If 40-45 times price by earnings multiple, if the economic recovery plays out, and if it grows at 25-30%, because 50% volume growth to abhi aayi hai, so I think it still remains reasonably valued, right? Because valuation is something which you come towards at the end. Once you understand the business triggers, only then you can actually sit down and actually think whether this stock is overvalued, fairly valued, or undervalued. Because see, allocation of small positions ka sense to theek hai banta hai, but over a period of time you need to take a call whether to increase the allocation or not. Because if you keep having lower allocation stocks in your portfolio, then portfolio ends up looking like a zoo. So I think business should be the first filter, then you come to valuations. But business filter wise, IEX matches all the criteria for us, which is not a recommendation for you. So I think valuations is something which is subjective, and I think as a monopoly, it remains at a fair to reasonable valuation range, right? And what are the sources to look for while searching for data of companies for past 20 years? I think you can check on Screener annual report, so all of it is mentioned over there, right? What was, I think Satvik, you can take the next one. What will be the biggest?
Yeah, sure. So just going by the scale right now, so I think once a company has reached a critical mass, so it is very, very tough for competitors to come in. So currently, India Mart is the leader. It has, I think, around 60% share in the B2B platform segment. So now what happens is, since most of the buyers and sellers are there on the platform, it makes almost no sense for those buyers or sellers to go on any other platform. So what my sense is, and India Mart would continue to be a leader in this B2B segment space. So just to give you a perspective, Alibaba tried to come into India which is the largest globally. But since till that time India Mart had achieved that critical mass, Alibaba could not penetrate India Mart despite having multiples of its size when in the global scheme of things.
Right, right. So just coming to the next one. So next one is, why are companies like Apple, IRCTC, India Mart, Info Edge trading at PE above 100? Market feels these companies have so much potential. So so I'll take on IRCTC and India Mart. Satvik can take on Info Edge and Apple. So IRCTC actually earnings are depressed right now because of pandemic. So earnings have compressed. So this is why PE has risen. So that thing has to be looked at in that aspect. India Mart we do not have a view on. तो जिस business पे actually हमारा view नहीं है तो उसमें हमारा valuation का भी view नहीं है. So I think that should be the fair enough criteria. कि if I do not have a view on the business, so I will not have a view on valuations as well. So I think Satvik, you can take on average.
So sure. Regarding Info Edge, so P is a very very wrong metric to look at Info Edge. So simply because even if Info Edge is having say a 20% stake in Zomato, so how accounting works is it will be consolidated in Info Edge's balance sheet and P&L. So it provides a very misrepresented number since all the accumulated losses of its minority investments in the startups are getting consolidated. And along with that, if you only see the core business of Naukri, so that is generating around 50% margins. Its ROICs are like more than 100%. So that way, it is a very, very good cash flow business. But P would be a very wrong metric to judge Info Edge on.
I think SOTP would be better. Some of the part valuation. So I think you can do one SOTP on India Mart. Info Edge. कि जो different parts है इनके उसका कितना valuation है, Info Edge का कितना stake है उसके अंदर. I think that will be a better metric to track Info Edge. One Apple, though I think we have discussed in the beginning. IEX I've taken. So again on MSTC. So I'll share the research material on IEX and MSTC. But MSTC I've taken everything from con calls. IEX maybe more or less con calls. But जो भी 2-3 reports हैं, तो I'll just put it in a drive link and I'll just post it on the on the dashboard, or I'll just send it to your email IDs, right? So I think I'll just move to the next one. BSE, NSE again I've taken. So please share the research material. I'll share the research material on MCX. I do not track, so I won't have an opinion. And then there's on, if there's no major entry barrier in B2B platforms, Naukri, then how can we generate good returns for long term? See, there are actually very, very, very big entry barriers. So on Info Edge, maybe Satvik can explain.
Yeah, so basically what happens is once a company is reaching a critical mass, it becomes next to impossible for a competitor to break in. So like we had explained in the presentation about the Lindy effect, that if a company is surviving for a good amount of time and it is generating that critical mass, so it will have a monopoly, and these kind of businesses are winner takes all. So if just taking an example of Naukri only, it has around 8 to 8.5 crore CVs. So now it is almost impossible for any other competitor, be it LinkedIn, Monster, Shine.com, to come and achieve that kind of scale. So recruiters have no other option if they are going for the less than 10 lakh job to mostly go to Naukri.com. So that is why it is having around 110% profits of the sector and 80% plus revenue share. The same can be said about B2B platforms also. The leader here is Alibaba, or you can say about the global leader, the leader here, which is India Mart, or the global leader, which is Alibaba, where they have achieved that critical mass.
Right. Which companies I think I've talked about. So I think that we move. CPaaS I do not currently track. So CPaaS may actually I'll just get into it, but gross margins of these companies are not that high. So basically अभी देखते हैं कैसे we can get more information. So CPaaS I'll be studying Twilio and all the other international listed CPaaS players. So maybe on our YouTube channel in the month of April or May, you will see a very, very, very detailed video on the entire CPaaS industry, right? Which bucket of your 5-bucket framework would fit the Indian platforms that were discussed today in the webinar? So the ones which we actually we find business to be good. So IEX would be somewhere in bucket 1 because earnings growth are going to be high, and moreover, your ROC is going to be high. So platforms mein ROC will always be high. MSTC would fit in our bucket too, because once the ROC comes, उसके बाद भी इनकी earnings growth 5-10% से ऊपर नहीं होने वाली, because it's an auction based platform. So MSTC in bucket 2 and IEX would be the part of bucket 1, right? So how is Affle? I think Affle we have addressed. Root and Tanla. So Tanla I don't have a view on currently. So I'll just do a video on the CPaaS platform in April or May, right? Valuation of IEX I've discussed. So PE is a very is a multiple which exists in vacuum. So you have to ask whether you're invested in a business or you're invested in the PE ratio. So I think we are investors in business, right? So business should be the first filter.
So yeah, adding to what Ishmohit had said, especially in a platform or a technology business, it is very, very important to understand how the accounting systems are working in India and globally. So when a capex is done for a DMart, a store is put for DMart, or a cement plant is put for an ACC. So those are depreciated over 8 to 10 years. But the capex in a platform business is the technology investments or their marketing and R&D spends, because that is the capex here. They are not putting any plants or power plants. So, and that is expensed in that year only. So mostly in the investment phases, the P ratios would be suppressed because all those capex are being expensed in the first year itself.
Right, right. So I think that is interesting. And just going down. So I think I'll just take some more questions in between. So IGX has good potential, but IGX still yet, can I put a number on it? I cannot as of now. So IGX, I'll just wait for more data to come in. But IGX may Adani has bought stake, so and then more stakeholders are buying. Even GAIL has bought. So that gives you an insight about जो actually gas जो companies हैं already अगर वो stake ले रही हैं, तो IGX already would be the preferred exchange for the Indian gas exchange. So IGX will be the preferred one, right? Because all the major stakeholders have already bought a stake in IGX. I think would be interesting. It could be a very good source of optionality, but I'm just waiting for more numbers to come in before actually assigning a size of opportunity to that, right? And CAMS, so CAMS may actually AMCs won't shift to Curvy. The opposite can also happen, because Curvy has lost a bit of credibility in other lines of business. But I think more or less will stay the same. As I showed in the presentation, कि CAMS के customer 20 साल से same है. So that gives you an insight into the switching cost. Truly a high entry barrier business and a high switching cost business. Just moving forward, risk factor with Policy Bazaar, I think that will.
So the major risk factor or the advantage, so how Policy Bazaar has panned out. So in till 2017, the commission which could be paid to Policy Bazaar was capped at 10 rupees per converted client. Now they are being paid as high as a normal insurance agent. So we all know in life insurance and all these kind of products, the commissions are as high as 70-80% of the first year premiums. So now my fear is that it might revert back to those previous numbers, say 10 rupees, or there might be a very high cap. So this might be the biggest risk factor, which I think.
Right. And Zomato. So Zomato again is something कि Zomato जैसे I think Satvik will be.
Yeah, so my personal feeling is, as we had explained in the webinar, unless Zomato goes the Meituan dimping way, it will be very tough for it to make profits. That is basically acquiring customers through the food delivery app and then cross-selling them other products like, say, an Ola Money or a P2P lending or a mutual fund. But having said that, we are reading a lot of articles that there's a lot of traction for the IPO right now.
Right, right. So mutual fund overseas. So I cannot suggest, but I can still tell you that PPFAS is a good mutual fund, but as again, it is not a suggestion, because they have actually caught the platform in exchange wave. Last 3-4 years से वो लोग Apple में invest कर रहे हैं, कभी ये Microsoft में कर रहे हैं. I think PPFS is a good fund to look at, but again, it is not a suggestion. So, and as a disclosure, like some of my own family members invest in PPFS, and I think you can actually check that out. But again, it's nothing is a recommendation or a suggestion. So research report we'll provide on IEX, and also mentioned in webinar info edge. So I've taken that question earlier. Green hydrogen, I don't know, because see, these are very long term oriented trends, so we need for more data to flow in, and जब तक data नहीं आता तब तक narrative बनाना दिक्कत हो जाती है. Like Sherlock Holmes says, it's a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. So narrative, we know green hydrogen and sabka, but we need to wait for data to come to form a thesis. So I think this will serve you well in each and every investment. You always have data first, then you can theorize on narrative, right? I would like to undertake your chemical webinar as well. However, if I am having some queries related to that, how can I connect with you for same? If you have any questions or anything, just send them to us on email. So I think we'll take those questions on email as well, right? So I think more or less we have taken. I'll take this one on Saregama. So Saregama is a very, very interesting business. So whether it will be a platform business or not, so that is a little tricky to tell, because it has some of those production businesses, Caravan as well. Caravan, maybe they are trying to make it like a platform ki product hai, फिर then you're making a service like software as a service model. कि अगर किसी को गाने सुनने हैं उसमें तो subscription लेना पड़ेगा. Seems interesting, but the IP business is the one which is really fascinating in Saregama, and I think is quite well placed. The music licensing business. So Saregama is something which is extremely interesting to check out, right? So I think one can check this out, and it has elements of platform. They actually license the music from the producer, then they have the license rights for 30 to 60 years, and then they keep selling those license rights to like Netflix, Hotstar, some Bing Music, Spotify. I think it will grow with the growth in music streaming and internet. So it's a proxy play on internet as well. Saregama is a very fascinating business, I think so, right? uh, right, next is kindly share the bucket framework for Indian platform businesses. So I think I'll just share one slide on bucket framework and the businesses which are fitting in different buckets, right? So I think I'll just take some questions. We'll take the next webinar, right? MNC companies, talk to emerging, right? Unlisted. Just a second. What is the relevance for deliberating on unlisted abroad listed companies in webinar? So I think we already mentioned that webinar would be on domestic and international companies, and on unlisted companies, these companies will come out with an IPO maybe this year or the next. So as I said, we need to be prepared beforehand. So investing is a long-term game, and if so, I don't know if you have a very short-term view, so we can't help it, right? So just coming down, right? So why MNC companies stocks? So again, this is a platform business webinar, so I won't be able to tell. So do you have any stock advisory or technical charts or forensic accounting learning course? We do not have in stock accounting, stock advisory service or technical charts, but we do actually analyze forensic accounting in our SOIC intensive course. We've taken more than 20-25 case studies, and we actually teach you all the ratios which are important for learning forensic accounting. I think you can check out our course if you want to learn about that, right? Just coming down, I think more or less questions are similar in nature. So one question which is there on MBED, that is market based economic dispatch in IEX. तो हाँ, that is a source of risk, because हमें ये नहीं पता अभी कि वो किस फॉर्म में इम्प्लीमेंट होती है. Whether it is implemented in a very broad form or whether it is implemented in a very narrow form. Narrow form है only for settlement purpose, or in a broad form it takes over all the functions of an exchange. So we'll just see to that, but that source of risk is there because IEX में वो सिर्फ एक लौता I think source of risk वही है इस time पे, because many triggers are combining to create a very long term growth story for next 4 to 5 years in IEX. But MBED and किस form में MBED apply होती है, that is something which you have to check, right? So that could be a source of risk, right? So I think how to buy Trade Desk and Shopify shares. So
yeah, so you can, so basically we are not recommending any stock, but if you want to invest in international shares, specifically those listed in USA, so you can open your demat account through the LRS route. So there are many good platforms like Vested, or IND Wealth, or all the top brokerages like HDFC or ICICI have their global investing platforms. So there you can remit money through the LRS route and invest.
And I think one thing which I can show you is just on the screen, just write HDFC Securities International Investment. So again, nothing is a recommendation over here. So we do not advocate going through HDFC Securities or anything. So you can just type hdfcsec.com/global investing. So you'll get a page over here where you can open an account with HDFC Securities जिन्होंने किसी international brokerage से tie up कर रखा है, so to invest globally abroad, right? But यहाँ पे एक risk है कि one thing which I find to be interesting is कि just do not, maybe again not a recommendation, just do not go through any pooled fund or anything. So do not like go through. I'll just mention over here. I think I've just seen this. तो यहाँ पे actually इनके pooled investment funds आते हैं. Just do not invest through that because they'll be taking 2 to 2.5% management fees from you. But directly आप इसके through आप यहाँ से जा सकते हो. I think could be a good choice.
So basically they have the ETFs and the managed portfolios. So I think these are the ones.
Expert managed portfolios. तो यहाँ पे you'll be might be paying 2 to 2.5% expense ratios, which is too much in my view for investing internationally. Right. So shall we proceed, Satvik?
Yeah.
Right. Provisions in MSDC. So that is mentioned in the presentation as well. And one is on why are two depositories in India and China only. So China में इसलिए I think they have one more depository for the power market or some, I think for insurance market के लिए अलग से. इंडिया में 2 exchanges हैं, तो यहाँ पे BSE NSE दोनों की अलग अलग depository है. तो more or less इसके अलावा we don't think so anyone else can come in as well. So data is a very good source, so no one would have that. And so Maze actually Gujarat Ambuja Exports Limited. So you can send this question to us via the email. So we cannot answer it over here because it's a webinar on platform businesses. You just send that question on to us on email. SBI cards. SBI cards again. If you can take that, Satvik, whether this is a question. Just read.
Yeah, sure. So SBI cards, when the transaction through UPI is increasing very rapidly instead of cards, also government is pushing RuPay cards. Why are analysts bullish on SBI cards and it enjoys 116p? So just on the PE part, so because there were a lot of high NPS during the post-COVID era, so that's why the PE would be looking optically high, and we can't obviously value these platform businesses on the PE ratio. Having said that, what I feel about SBI cards is that it is very much based on the economic cycle. So if you see the Lehman crash, so at that time SBI cards had around 8 to 10% NPS. So that is my personal view. But having said that, it is a very fast growing and a rapid franchisee. And I think it is one of the fastest growing ones, and it is the only play on the credit card space right now. If you want a pure credit card play right now.
Right. But again, you have to be careful because unlike other platform businesses, this is a leveraged entity. So if the consumer loans do bad or the retail loans do bad, SBI cards would suffer because I find them to be very aggressive when it comes to lending, and moreover it is unsecured. So just be careful with it, right? Because personally, I find Bajaj Finance to be a better place play maybe than SBI cards. So again, both of them are leveraged entities. So that is a call which you have to take, right? MCX, it's good they have critical mass, but MCX may actually, I think there was a regulation which capped the pricing, and secondly, they've been losing customers. So if you can just add something to that, Satvik, MCX.
No, I'm not tracking.
Not tracking it.
So mostly because the growth wasn't there, and historically the numbers were not very promising as to what kind of growth I look for. So I had not looked at MCX very closely.
Right. I think MCX, you need to read carefully कि what has been ailing MCX. क्योंकि MCX में कुछ problems थी, तो I think last 5 years में if you just go through the con calls and the change in norms and regulations, just go through it why they have also lost some of their customers. I think that can give a good insight, right? So Root, again, we'll do that in the month of April or May, and maybe Satvik can
Yeah,
answer.
so I haven't looked into depth into Root, but this question I can answer. So yeah, so it is basically a consumer platform as a service. So it qualifies as a platform business. So just to answer that question, along with that, what is happening is a lot of global companies, the top 10 companies like Amazon, Alibaba, and even Indian ones like HDFC and Citibank. So they are entrusting companies like Root Mobile with like provide getting to the customers to provide them say an email update or an OTP update. So the business model looked very promising, but neither me nor Ishmohit have a view on it until we do more in-depth research.
Right, right. And I think the last question is on which Satvik and I, both of us will take for platform companies. What is a good metric? Price by earnings or price by sales? I think the best metric for a platform-based business. So there are two, three types. One is the ones which we've seen internationally, which are still loss-making. So over there, we have to be careful in terms of what is the size of opportunity and the size of quantity. Because just to give you an example, even Warren Buffett invested in Snowflake, which is a SaaS company which came out with an IPO at 90 to 98 times price by sales. But the size of opportunity has to be taken into account because Shopify actually before the earnings release at one time had 150 times price by sales. But after the earnings in 3 to 4 quarters, that 150 times fell down to 50 to 55 times. Again, which is high. But if something is growing very rapidly, so that has to be taken into account. So again, I will say कि coming to valuations, if you're looking at metrics, so metrics will lead you to a false conclusion unless we understand what that thing operates in. Well, nothing operates in a vacuum. So we need to be careful of the size of opportunity, the size of pond, and how rapidly this player is. So how rapidly the platform is growing, because platforms actually sometimes travel across industries, right? So I think that will be a very good metric to look out at. Ki what is the data like in terms of growth, in terms of user acquisition, in terms of client mining, and secondly, what is the size of industry and how capable is the player, whether the player has critical mass or not. Because jitne bhi aap platforms pad lo across the world, you can read, just look at the platforms which have critical mass and their valuation versus a platform which does not have critical mass, because the one which does not have critical mass will sooner or later die, right? So I think multiples won't do the trick over here. You need to go in deep and think about how fast the thing can grow and whether that will justify the current multiples or not, because companies going through mega trends will never ever trade at cheap valuations. So there are 2 3 ways of investing. I do not personally believe in getting into single digit PE multiples and waiting for e-rating. If I'm getting 25 30 35% earnings compounded, so maybe we become a little lenient with valuations. We do not totally forget valuations, but we become a little lenient because our objective is to understand the business first. If I understand the business first, then what happens is that what Benjamin Graham says, if I see a fat man, I can easily tell that is a fat man, but I cannot easily tell the weight of that person, but I can for sure say that is a fat person. Similarly, this happens in business as well. By reading about a business in depth, what I can easily tell is after I've understood the business, like out of 10, I understand only one or two businesses, and out of 30 opportunities, I will only end up buying one or two. So I can easily tell by reading a business in depth what are the triggers and whether according to those triggers or according to that size of opportunity, whether this stock is a fat pitch or not, or whether that person is fat or not. So we are working on rough guesstimates. Valuation is not a precise exercise. So sooner, this has helped me in my investing journey when I evolved from being a typical valuation oriented, precise number guy to someone who looks at the bigger picture. I think Satvik can add to
Yeah,
this.
so as Pat Dorsey says, all data is in the past, but all value is in the future. So if we are looking at the past metrics, so I do not know how efficient that would be, and it has been proven time and again. So basically, how I analyze companies is whenever till the time growth lasts. So till that time, we can be willing to pay higher valuations, but as soon as the growth stops, or the size of opportunity shrinks, or the competitive industry intensity keeps on increasing a lot. So then we have to be cognizant of the valuations and then take a call whether we want to stay in the stock or exit them.
Right. Right. I think we are done with. So Veltos, we do not track Veltos, so I won't be able to have an opinion. And I think thank you for each yourself. Thank you to each and everyone for sending us such great questions. And so both of us might come again together for one more sectoral analysis. And so thank you for joining us, and hope to see you in the next sectoral session. Thank you.